He was not born singer or dancer, neither trumpet player, but he used his talent and became great in singing, and even greater in dancing, and the greatest with a horn. Chantz Powell. You were born.
So I was born May 29, 1987, New Orleans, Louisiana, at Lakeside Hospital. Shortly after, my mother and I, we moved to Los Angeles, where she was studying cosmetology. She had her own business, hair salon as well as beauty salon. At the age of 5, I became interested in music. I saw a movie called Mo Better Blues, directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington and Wesley Snipes. I begged my mother for 2 years for the trumpet, where Bleak Gilliam, the story based upon this particular character, played trumpet. I begged her for this trumpet for 2 years, and at the age of 7, she bought me my first trumpet. At this time, we were living in Sacramento, California. I began taking lessons with Bob Reeves there in Sacramento, California. 2 years later, after moving from New Orleans and traveling back to Los Angeles, I actually started to begin dance lessons and singing lessons. At the age of 9 to the age of 11, I went to the Coburn Performing Arts School and went to 3 different dance academies through the course of that time. When I was 11 years old, I began to play on the street, singing and playing my trumpet. I was actually inspired by a deaf trumpet player, cowboy, who I didn't find out that he was deaf until later when I was 17, 18 years old. At the age of 11 to the age of 14, I performed in many different venues with many different people. 4 different orchestras: Pacific Symphony Orchestra, Dizzy Gillespie Jazz Orchestra, to name a couple. At the age of 14, I moved to Europe with my mother. We were in Paris for 2 years. I studied at Nidia Boulogne Conservatory in 9th Arrondissement. Shortly after, we moved to London, where we stayed for 5 years. I went to school, Purcell School of Music. I also went to Trinity College of Music. I was signed to a record label, Decca Universal Records, recorded an album, which was my second record. I released my first record at the age of 11, shortly after going on 12, here in Los Angeles. After we left London, we moved back to Paris, and during that time, I toured the world. Went to Hong Kong twice, and I began to perform on a cruise ship, headlining my own show, which also took us around the world. From the age of 17 to the age of 21, I was on the cruise ship as well as touring in many different jazz festivals throughout Europe and Asia. At the age of 22, I made the decision in staying in Paris to move back to Los Angeles, California, to attend university. We arrived back in 2008, September 2008, here in Los Angeles. Still begin to make connections to perform at different venues, private parties, clubs, etc. And also to perform on the street to pay for bills, as well as my education. And at the moment, I'm still studying at Los Angeles City College and transferring and taking my music classes. I'll be a full-time student at UCLA in the fall of 2012. So Los Angeles City College, as well as University of California, Los Angeles, where I'm studying ethnomusicology as well as business economics, transferring from business administration from LACC.
What other musicians have inspired you?
Louis Armstrong was my greatest inspiration. A lot of people don't know that he was not only a singer, trumpet player, but he was a tap dancer as well. Sammy Davis Jr. is another one of my great inspirations. Jackie Wilson, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, Ginger Rogers, Usher, Michael Jackson, Clark Terry, Freddie Hubbard, Ella Fitzgerald. It's a long list, a very, very long list. I really enjoy the legends as well as the people that have taken from the legends to create their own legacy, like myself.
Thank you very much, Chantz Powell.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Claes.